The Ghosts of Red Creek. North of Mississippi City and its neighbor, Hansborough, stretches a vast pine forest for miles, with only a few houses scattered throughout. Black and Red Creeks, with their many branches, flow through this region, eventually reaching the Pascagoula River to the east. The swamps of Pascagoula provide a safe haven for wildlife, and the lush, untouched bottomlands of Red and Black Creeks are a perfect place for deer to graze. Knowing this, a group of gentlemen set off from Hansborough in a large wagon on the day before Christmas, embarking on a 30-mile journey into the pine wilderness for a week of deer hunting. Their guide was Jim Caruthers, a true expert in the woods, and their driver and general helper, a cheerful black man named Jack Lyons, who could make the best hoe cakes and cook a venison steak you'd ever tasted. His laugh could be heard a quarter of a mile away, and his good nature was as vast as the laughter itself. The first few days of their outdoor adventure were filled with the usual experiences of a hunting camp, but the real highlight came on the 5th night. By then, everyone had become comfortable with each other, and Jack Lyons, after a long day of hiking, would entertain them with stories around the campfire, making them forget their fatigue. The night before New Year's was exceptionally cold. The frigid north wind of the afternoon had calmed down as the sun set, and only the occasional gust touched the pine needles, creating a mournful melody that even the most skilled musicians couldn't capture. Two sportsmen sat by the warm fire, stretched out in front of two new white tents, while the guide and Jack Lyons relaxed across from them. The day's hunt had tired out the 4 loyal hounds, Ringwood, Rose, Jet, and Boxer, and they were dreaming of future prey. The firelight illuminated the trunks of the tall pines, making them look like cathedral columns. Above, sparkling through the leafy dome of the trees, the twinkling stars gleamed with a diamond-like brightness. A peaceful silence settled over the creek, enhancing the effect of the veteran teamster's story. "If the deer run down the creek," said old Jack, smacking his lips over a carefully prepared batch of real Campbellton punch, "we're bound to have some fun tomorrow, because they'll take us down there by the old Gibbet's place. In daylight, there's no better place, but after nightfall, you can bet you wouldn't catch this black man there." Naturally, the others asked why Jack didn't like visiting the Gibbet's place at night. Asking to be excused so he could fill his pipe, Jack fell silent until he returned. He piled more pine knots onto the fire and began his story. "You know, gentlemen, when the gunboats were in the Sound, we had to travel way back here on these roads, out of range of their big guns. Mr. Harrison hired me to haul salt from the factory in Mississippi City, on the beach over to Mobile, and I'd been making the trip every week or so. The Federals never thought about this backcountry road, and we had a good time along the way, no shells and no shooting. The night I'm talking about, gentlemen, was a Friday, and you all know that Fridays are unlucky. Well, you see, I hitched up Betsy and Rose in the lead, and Old Fox and Blossom at the pole, and loaded up the biggest load of salt that team ever carried. I set off and crossed the Biloxi River at Hansborough just as the moon was going down. Yes, boss, these roads weren't any better then than they are now, and the rain had made them really rough when you came to the holes. I sat in the seat whistling, 'The Cows Are in the Pea Patch,' thinking about Sarah Jameson, who later became my wife, when I felt the front right wheel go kershush into a hole up to the hub. I'd been going for 17 miles from Hansborough. I did some cussing, then went to the fence about 20 yards away and pulled off a rail to try and lift the wheel. Then I realized I was at Mr. Gibbet's place. I thought to myself, I'll go up to the house and get old Mr. Gibbet to help me out. I had passed by there 2 weeks earlier and seen the old man. Now, gentlemen, you listen to me, because what I'm telling you is as certain as the day Judgment Day comes. I walked up to the house, and there was a bright light shining from inside. I could see shadows of Miss Gibbet and Mrs. Gibbet on the window curtain. Sure, honey, sure. The front door was closed, so I stepped onto the porch and knocked with the butt end of my whip. I didn't knock loud either. God bless us all, gentlemen. The lights went out like that, and I heard a laugh. Ha 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 ha. My knees started shaking. I opened the door, and there was no sign of anybody. I struck a match, and all the furniture was moved out, and the old red curtain I thought I saw was in rags. The whole family was gone, for sure. I didn't know exactly what to think about those strange voices, but I started back to the wagon when it started to get light. And, thank goodness, there were 6 freshly made graves in the front yard. Something's wrong here, I thought, and I built a fire by the wagon and got the wheel out of the hole. Just then, old Squire Pasture came along the road from Mobile, and he told me the news. Old Man Gibbet had cut the throats of his wife and 4 children, and shot himself in the head because he was jealous of his wife. They were all buried in the front yard, and the house was abandoned 10 days earlier. Gentlemen, when I heard that, those mules made the fastest trip to Mobile they'd ever seen. You can tell me there are no ghosts, but you won't catch me near Gibbet's log house unless the sun is high in the sky. Jack looked suspiciously over his shoulder into the darkness and crawled under his blanket, muttering, "It scares this black man even now to tell about that night." Sleep soon came to the camp, but the impression of Jack's story lasted through the night. The next day, he still insisted it was true. The end. If you like the story, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Was there anything that surprised you? Who's your favorite character in the story? I can't wait to hear your thoughts.